manamapi asatiputram atasurupam rupam tasya gajamuripurim maturim goshtuvatim Radha Kunda Magirivaram Aho Radhika Madhavasam Prabdo Yasya Patita Kripaya Sri Guru Natosmi Guravi Gaurachandaya Radhikaye Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namo Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hema Bhadivyachavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Vina Abhayana Lakshe Shivas Chidamaritam Namaste Shivamayam Sharanam Ravanam Vrinde Namaste Sharanarasindam Vrinde Namaste Sharanarasindam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Hey Krishna Hey Yadav Hey Saketi Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Tavaivasmi Tavaivasmi Na jivami tvaya vina Iti vikyaya devi tam Amam charantikam First of all, I offer my sastang dandavat puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, Asmadya Paramaraj Tama Guru Pada Padma, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashto Darasata Sisimad, Rupanuga Charivarya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and blessings. So by the causeless mercy,
she had a little question from this morning. It is burning.
That's it. Yes.
Ja? Okay. Und zwar hast du heute Morgen vom Vipassana geredet, oder ich sag mal, aus meiner Betrachtung wird der Geist ja dort geschärft durch die Noble Silence. Und meine Frage ist, wie kann beim Chanten der Geist, der ja ständig dieses Mantra chantet, still werden?
we spoke about vipassana, that through noble silence, like the mind is becoming really sharp and very deep. So her question is, how can, through chanting, the mind become ever peaceful? Just constant chanting.
If water is muddy, and so it's very dull and you cannot see through it, it's not transparent. So if you leave it and keep it completely still for a long time, all the silt in the water will go down to the bottom. And then it will be clear. But at the slightest disturbance, again it will become cloudy. And even when it becomes clear, it's still what? Just only water. So in the same way, if you practice stillness and silence, then the thoughts which are a cause of disturbance, agitation in the mind, they settle down and one feels some peacefulness. But then, when again one is put in a testing situation, you will find again the mind becomes very, very cloudy. You can see so many persons, they go into silence and loneliness to try to meditate. But then when they put into a difficult situation again, they still become angry, they become upset, they even are worse than ordinary people sometimes. Because they have suppressed the passion, rajagun. So, actually, one cannot get any long-term and permanent benefit only by the isolation. It will not give any long-term permanent benefit. So, chanting is something completely different. Oh, I want to touch this point as well. If the mind is disturbed, or if the mind is peaceful, the mind is still the mind. It is one subtle material element. Just as your body is made of the elements earth, water, fire, air and space. So, the subtle body or the astral body is composed of four elements: manas, mind, buddhi, intelligence, ahankar, ego, and chitta. This is a conditioned consciousness, or the screen of consciousness on which you experience everything reflected. So, whatever manipulation you'll do with the material mind or intelligence, it still remains what? A material element. And so, by such a process of trying to become free from rajagun and tamagun, the lower energies, person tries to become sattvic, stable, and by the rise of sattva, they can begin to intuitively feel that I am not this body. This is a good point. They can intuitively feel what I am not, but they cannot positively feel what I am. These are two types of knowledge. To know that you are not the body is one step. But to know positively who you are, this knowledge can never be awakened by any type of stillness or silence or mechanical activity or process. Because the soul, the positive nature of the soul, this is that the soul is the servant of God. And so, until the soul practically engages in the service of God, then his true nature remains dormant and can never be discovered. So, the service to God begins with hearing his name. So, when you chant mantra of the names of God, this is actually not an activity of the physical senses. The chanting of the names of God is a transcendental activity. But in the beginning, due to the covering of ego, you think I am chanting and this is going on by my material senses. You have this experience. But if you go on chanting, gradually you realize, I am not the doer. The ahankar, the feeling, I am the doer will go away. And you will realize that you are not chanting this mantra, but this mantra is making its appearance on your senses. Now you become a Shakshi. You are not the chanter of the mantra, but you are the witness to the appearance of the divine name. So, Sri Krishna told Uddhav, Yata yatat ma paribrijate so, madguna kata shavanabhidane, tata tata pasati vastu shukshmam, chakshuryatai vanjana samprayuktam. If a person has a book with very small print, and their eyes are not very good, they look and there's a blur, they cannot see. But there's an Ayurvedic ointment that you can smear on the eyes. And then by the action of this ointment they will look and and they can read all the letters now. So in the same way, the Swarup, the form of God, is extremely subtle. Your eyes cannot even see the element of mind or ego or anything. Your eyes cannot even see space. Your eyes cannot even see air. So how will you see your own soul or God? You cannot. But this is the blindness. If one will apply this ointment of hearing, chanting, remembering about Krishna again and again, then yataya tatma parimrijate, so the consciousness slowly becomes purified. So first you will realize that you are not chanting, but this name is appearing in your life. And then when the consciousness is more purified, then you will see in the vibration of the name the very subtle and beautiful form of Shri Krishna. Then you will become peaceful. And that peacefulness, it cannot be shaken at any moment. You know Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed, you will die in 7 days. He said, oh good. He was not disturbed at all. Shanti Ravyata Kalatam. Why? Because he made a connection with the eternal reality. So then as one goes on chanting, Krishna, from his very subtle and astonishing spiritual form, his qualities begin to manifest. And then he introduces you to his associates. So it is said in the Upanishads that Parabrahma is the eye of the eye. What does it mean that he is the eye of the eye? It means that as you begin to realize the form of Krishna, then you begin to realize your own form as a byproduct. It is called the gona, secondary effect. As you begin to, your spiritual senses begin to experience the qualities of Krishna, then you start to experience your own spiritual qualities. As you begin to realize the associates of Krishna, then you begin to realize your own nature as an associate of Krishna. Like this. So Krishna is the eye of the eye, means that when you see Krishna, then you can see yourself. And so, by chanting Harinam, then all peace, all happiness is attained eternally. And by any force, trying to artificially force oneself to become peaceful, it will not have any results. can see there are so many now Buddhist monks in Tibet. What they're doing? Fighting. Yeah. In Burma also. They are killing Muslims. Actually. So of course everyone is not every member of one religion is not representative of the ideals of all religion. This is true. But the point that I'm making here is, you cannot say everything is shunya, void. Because your karma will still come chasing after you. And you'll have to deal with it. Huh? So it is not a question of, I will find peace by making a peaceful situation, because your karma will come and make a problem for you anyway. Krishna said this in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Arjuna said, I'm not going to fight, I will renounce everything, go to the forest. Krishna said, it is your dharma, it is your sanskar to fight. If you go to the forest, then a fight will come looking for you. You cannot escape your karma in this way, by running away from it. Just like someone, they're in a relationship with someone, and it's not going very well. So then they leave that person, and then they go and have a relationship with another person, and again the same problem comes up, so they go to another person. Why? Because the problem is their karma. You cannot change your karma just by trying to manipulate external things. So by chanting the holy name, even your karma becomes destroyed. And so Krishna can create a very favorable situation. We spoke about that this morning. Kleshagni. By doing sadhana, the kleshas, the suffering of material existence, is destroyed. And the realization of God will come. So only a person can think, oh, what good is this noisy chanting? Because from the platform of ego, it seems like we are just sitting and singing. What benefit is from the platform of ego? It seems like this. But from the advanced devotees, this is not their experience. Yagyai sankirtanai praya yajanti hi sumedasaha. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam that in this age of Kali Yuga, those who are endowed with sufficient intelligence, good intelligence, they will worship the Supreme Lord by Sankirtan, singing together. What does that mean? How can you worship God by singing? Because when the pure devotees, they begin kirtan, then Krishna appears there, and in their heart they begin to experience how they are serving Him. So the experience of chanting of an ordinary person and the experience of the advanced devotee, they are two completely different experiences. So the opinion of the conditioned soul in regard to chanting is invalid, because their senses and mind are impure, and they cannot have a direct experience of the swarup, the true nature of this kirtan. So all the Vedas, all the sages, they give the same conclusion, that the chanting of the holy name is the supreme process of dharma, by which all kinds of people, whether they are the sense enjoyers or yogis, or they want liberation, whatever you want, just do bhakti, just chant, and you will eventually attain the ultimate goal of life.
Gibt es denn einen Unterschied zwischen laut chanten oder dieses in der Stille das zu machen?
So there a difference between a loud chanting or in a silent chanting?
Silent chanting, that means repeating mantra in your mind, is not kirtan. It's smaran, it's a type of meditation. And it's not as powerful as chanting audibly. So you don't have to chant loudly, you can chant japa softly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Softly you can chant. But the most powerful is to sing together with devotees loudly. The advantage of this is that if you chant yourself
Wenn du selber chantest,
you'll gradually make advancement.
machst du wirklich Fortschritt.
But if you'll do kirtan with those who are much more advanced than yourself, then their spiritual energy will be reflected to you, and you advance very, very quickly.
Du wirst ganz schnell Fortschritt machen, wenn du mit großen Devotees chantest.
The realizations that they have taken lifetimes to achieve, oh, you can achieve just by being in their kirtan and hearing their chanting. And so there's great benefit in kirtan. And also, the loud singing together is most pleasing to Krishna. You see, if you want to go somewhere, you have to qualify yourself for that place. You know? If you go to very high altitude and you're not used to it, you cannot breathe even. You know, if you go very high in the Himalayas, if you're not used to it, you cannot breathe because the air is very thin. So you have to acclimatize yourself gradually. So if you practice just the silence, then how will you go to the spiritual world? This practice of silence is based on the concept that beyond this world is emptiness and nothing. So I'll sit here and practice doing nothing. But the reality is that the spiritual plane is a plane of celebration. The living entities there are in ecstasy and they are singing and dancing. Every step is a dance, every word is a song. So if you want to go there, then you have to practice now. To acclimatize yourself to the atmosphere of joyous celebration through Kirtanya Sadahari, continuous chanting. Then you can become eligible for the plane of the eternal celebration. Sudita Srita Janati Rashe Ramya Chit Gana Sukas Rupine Krishna Nama Gokula Mahotsavayate Purna Vapuse Namo Namaha. Rupa Goswami says, Oh Harinam, Sudita Srita Janati Rashe, you destroy the abundant sufferings of those who take shelter of you. Ramya Chit Ganas Sarupine, oh holy name, you are the concentrated essence of spiritual joy. Gokula Motsavayate, and when I see your form, I see that you are Krishna, who is the embodiment of all festivals of joy for all the residents of Gokul. Purna Vapuse, oh Nam, complete, you are the complete Swarupa of Krishna. I bow down to you again and again. Narad Vinod Jivana Sudurmi Niryasa Madhuri Pura Tram Krishna Nama Kamas Purne Rasena Rasane Sada. Oh Krishna Nam, you are Sudhurmi, means Sudha Urmi, waves of nectar. Nirjasa, waves of the essence of nectar. The nirjas, the essence is the romantic love of Brajagopis. Madhuri Pura, full of sweetness. Narad Vinod's Jivana, you give life to the Veena of Narad. When Narad sings the names, oh Radha Raman, his Veena starts to play by itself. He doesn't have to play his Veena, it just starts playing. It's quite a miraculous thing. So Rupa Goswami is thinking, just as Narad's instrument, his Veena, comes alive when he begins to do kirtan. So I am like an instrument only. So please, you appear on my tongue and make me sing and dance. I cannot, instrument cannot play itself, but the holy name of Krishna makes his instrument play by itself. So, Tvam Krishna Nama Kama Spurame rasane rasena sada. Appear rasane means on my tongue. Rasena, along with Braja Rasa. Oh, the mellows of love of Vrindavan Lila. I am like a dead person. Bring me to life and make me dance, tasting the essence of the waves of nectar. Oh, this is Rupa Goswami praying to the holy name. Namastikam. So if you want to get the mercy of Nam, apologize for making many offenses and for one's faithfulness and insubordination to the name, and glorify the holy name with the verses that our acharyas have written, because they have glorified the name in the most astonishing way. They have realization. If someone has no realization, they don't know what to say about the name. Oh holy name, I like to sing about you now and then, but sometimes I'm more interested and want to watch TV. What will you say? No, those who've experienced the indescribable ecstasy of the appearance of the holy name, they can glorify it. So those who have realization like Rupa Goswami, they have written the prayers like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and we sing their prayers to petition the holy name to be kind to us. And then Golokera Prem Dan Harinam Sankirtan, the treasure of love from the spiritual world comes to us in the form of kirtan. So there is no comparison between the chanting of the holy name and the artificial repression of the mind and senses. They want to act, but they've become so tired by suffering. They feel like if I don't act, then I'll get some relief from all this action. But the problem does not go away. After some time, again they want to act. Krishna told Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Nahi kastit chanamapi jatu tistati kamakrit karyaseya visakarma sarva prakriti jagune. He said, hey Arjuna, one cannot refrain from action even for a second. Because all living entities, they are forced to act by the combination of the gunas, which is present in the constitution of their physical body and mind. Krishna said, what can repression accomplish? There's no benefit at all from this. So instead of repressing the senses, they have to be given some allowed to act, but in a way which is auspicious. And those are the activities of bhakti: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, and all the types of activities. Just like an ordinary person has to work and make some place to live, and so on, some shelter and security. So make a temple, make an ashram. You work and create a lovely place where the deities of Krishna can live and his devotees can come together and hear and chant. Everyone has to cook, so cook for Krishna and then take his prasadam. So the senses, they should be allowed to act, but instead of acting out of selfishness for some material advantage, for the false ego, rather the senses should act only for Krishna's pleasure, for Krishna's happiness. And then we realize the actual function of the senses. Sarvupadi vinirmuktam tatpratvena nirmalam rishikesha rishikena sevam bhakti utachay. Bhakti means when a person, they have no upadis, bodily designation. You are absolutely not this body. When you are dreaming, you have a body in your dream. Perhaps this body can fly. Perhaps this body can play piano. Perhaps this body is injured in the dream. But when you wake up, you realize you are not doing anything. It was only a dream. So just as you have no actual sambandha with the body in the dream. Now while you are awake, you also have no sambandha with this body. No relationship at all. The feeling that you have a relation with the body is called the Maya. That which is not. That is very persistent. So at night you have an 8-hour dream, and in the day you have a 16-hour dream. The only difference is one dream lasts longer than the other. But really, your Atma has no connection with any of them whatsoever. And the senses in this dream, your senses are acting. But this is a misuse of the senses. It's an abuse of the senses. Because the senses are there to serve the Lord of the senses, Sri Krishna. When the senses are abused and used for sense gratification and karma, then the person experiences Ladhatapakuri Misra, a mixture of flickering pleasures and pains, but no satisfaction. But when the senses become Sarvapadi Vinirmuktam, because the soul has senses, and when the soul senses become free from material designation, then their activity is the service of Krishna. And in this there is pure unmitigated joy. And if a person will experience that, then once the consciousness is pure, then they feel, oh, now I understand what my senses are for. I was abusing them, but now I understand that it's the very constitution of the senses, that Rishikesha Rishikena Sevam Bhakti Uttama Uchate, that the senses, they are made for serving Krishna. That's the actual use, naturally, their constitutional function in reality, that makes one become actually attuned to reality. As soon as the senses are used for something else, then one is misaligned from reality, disconnected from reality, and in a state of utter confusion. So what is necessary is that we become aligned with reality by engaging our senses in bhakti right now. And though we are in a state of confusion and bodily misidentification, if we engage our senses in devotional service, we are engaged by under the instructions and guidance of Guru, then the bewilderment of bodily identification clears by itself. This is why the Vedas say, Uchishta cha jagata prapya varamani bodhata. It means, get up, wake up, and attain what is the greatest objective of your life. Be the very best you can be. So usually, first you wake up and then you get up. In the morning you realize, oh, I'm sleeping, and then you wake up and then you get up from the bed. But the Vedas say, Uttishtata Jagarta. First get up and wake up later. Because it is impossible by intellectual adjustment to say, I am not this body, I am the soul. Because it's a theoretical knowledge. You can say it, but it will not be an experience. So, even in a dream-like condition, even while identifying with the body, we have to use the senses of this body in hearing, chanting, singing, and doing all types of services. That is Uchishtata, get up. Act first. And after that, because we are acting in our constitutional position, then the covering of Maya will clear, Uttishtata, then Jagrata, then wake up. So don't try to say, I'll serve Krishna when I realize him.
nicht ich diene Krishna, wenn ich ihn
Just serve him and you'll realize him.
Und dann wirst du ihn verwirklichen.
And therefore the first step in bhakti is called Ado Shraddha.
Deswegen ist der erste Schritt in Bhakti
Trust in the words of Guru,
ein Vertrauen
Sadhu
in die Worte
and
von
the
Sadhu
scriptures.
und den heiligen Schriften
And seva-vritti, a tendency to serve. That is the first step.
und eine Neigung zu dienen.
And by this anartha-nivritti,
Und dadurch
all misconceptions and contamination is
alle
cleared,
Konzepte geklärt.
and then ruchi, the realization of God, awakens.
Geschmack und Verwirklichung Gottes.
The realization of God and love of God is the same thing.
Die Verwirklichung Gottes und Liebe zu
Yeah.
Gottes.
To know Him is to love Him.
Es ist, ihn zu kennen bedeutet ihn zu lieben.
It is impossible to see Krishna and not surrender to Him.
Es ist unmöglich, Krishna zu sehen. aber
Because
ihm
he's so
hingegeben zu
beautiful.
sein. Ist so schön.
If anyone will have a slight glimpse of Krishna,
Wenn du nur kurz etwas von Krishna erblickst,
the experience is so powerful
die Erfahrung
that
ist
the
so
soul
kraftvoll.
just falls flat at His feet. I am yours.
Ich bin ganz da.
It's all over. Like this forever.
Für immer.
Kastrangate kalata padayat venugitam samohitara nachalet napatet chalatet silokam trailokya sorupagam idam chaniriksharupam yadgo dijadruma mriga pulakanya vibran. When gopis came to meet Krishna in Raslila, he told them, go home. Don't deviate from the dharma of serving your family members. And gopis replied, Kastrangate kalatapadayata venugita. Oh Krishna, what woman, upon hearing the long drawn out notes of your flute and seeing your beauty, would not completely deviate at once and forever from the path of Dharma? What woman in the three worlds? Why? Because Devyo Vimana Gatayo Sa Krishna Sa Nunasara. The wives of the demigods in heaven faint in the laps of their husbands seeing Krishna. So in the heavens and on the earth, the wives of the Yagic Brahmanas, they left the sacrifice performed by their husbands and ran with all the preparations to give to Krishna. So in heaven, on earth and in the lower planets, the gopis saw the Nagas, the Nagapatnis, they are the serpents from the lower regions. All the wives of the Sakaliyat were praying and adoring Krishna. So they said, we know. Any female, from the top to the bottom of the universe, if they'll hear your flute and see you one time, then they give up their dharma. Yeah? They cannot help it. What to speak of any young ladies? Yad go dvija druma mriga pulakanya bibram. Even cows, their dharma is to chew all day. But when you play your flutes, then they stop chewing. The grass is hanging. They become in ecstasy. Yet go dvija, birds. Birds are restlessly flying here and there. But when you play your flute, then they sit like rishis with half-closed eyes. And the birds are in ecstasy, they cannot move. Yad go dvija mriga. The deer are very shy. If there's a deer in the forest and someone is far away just steps on a leaf, and there's a sound, a crispy sound of a broken leaf, then the deer, they look like this and they run. But when Krishna plays his flute, then they just walk towards him and they smell the fragrance of his body and lick him. Huh? So the deer, they give up their dharma, their nature. Yad go dvija mriga druma. No, not only living entities like cows and birds and deer. Druma, even trees. Their dharma is to just stand like this. But when Krishna plays his flute, the trees start to shiver in ecstasy. They begin to move. And they weep tears in the form of honey from the hives on their branches. So Gopis told to Krishna,
Die Gopis haben Krishna
you are
gesagt,
blaming us
du gibst uns
for
die
giving
Schuld,
up our dharma.
dass wir unser Dharma aufgeben.
But
dass
actually,
wir
we are not the only ones who gave
wir
up
sind
our
nicht die
dharma.
einzigen, die das Dharma aufgeben.
All the women in the universe from
Alle
top to
Frauen im
bottom,
Universum, von oben bis unten.
and all the animals,
Und alle
and
Tiere.
even the trees.
Und selbst die Bäume geben ihr Dharma
So I
auf.
think it is not our fault that we've given
Ich
up
glaube, es ist
dharma.
nicht unser Fehler.
Because everyone is giving up dharma, it is the fault of you and your flute.
Es ist deine Schuld und die Schuld deiner Flöte.
So you are hypocritical to give this advice to us and say that we are at fault when you are at fault.
Wenn du uns eine Anleitung gibst.
So as soon as the senses
Sobald die Sinne
catch the slightest the vision or fragrance of Krishna,
oder Geruch oder etwas
then the
berühren
heart
von
just
Krishna,
surrenders there completely,
berühren,
irrevocably.
dann wird das Herz vollständig sich
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
hingeben.
said, when Krishna plays his
Wenn
flute,
Krishna seine Flöte spielt,
then the hearts of the gopis begin to tremble
sind die Gopis beginnen
like
zu
leaves
zittern,
on a tree,
wie Blätter am Baum.
and then they break away, just as leaves break away from the tree,
Fallen die Blätter weg
and they float down slowly,
und fallen langsam herab.
and they come to the ground,
Sie kommen auf den Boden.
and they are helpless, they have no power to ever rise again.
Sie können nie wieder sich
So
erheben.
in the same way,
Auf
when
gleiche
Krishna
Weise,
plays his
wenn
flute,
Krishna seine Flöte
the
spielt,
hearts of the gopis
das Herz
flutter,
der Gopis beginnt
and
zu
then
zittern,
fall down at Krishna's flute without any power to rise again.
ohne Kraft jemals sich wieder zu erheben vor diesem Gott.
So chant the holy names. And you will be happy forever.
Und du bist für immer glücklich.
Yes, Prabhu.
So if Sankirtan is
Wenn es dann
better,
besser ist,
why you recommend chanting 64 round japa? Would it not be better to chant more kirtan?
einfach immer Kirtan singen, wieso soll man das einfach chanten?
Both things are necessary.
Beides sind nötig.
I have not recommended. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hat das
I have just delivered his message to
Ich
you.
habe nur seine Botschaft an dich weitergebracht.
By chanting 64 rounds every day,
Jeden 64 Runden chanten,
then very soon one will become free from offenses
wirst du sehr schnell frei von Fehlern.
due to the demonstration of your loyalty to the name.
Weil du den heiligen Namen demonstrierst, dass du ihm loyal sein möchtest.
Atashi Krishna Namadita Bhavat Prem Sevan Mukhi Jivado Swaimeva Sprata. Here the word Sevan Mukhi
Seva und Muk,
means attentive to service.
aufmerksam.
And that service is simply Akshara Bhyas, the repetition of the syllables. The service that you must do is simply the repetition of the syllables of the name. So when you become attentive to the repetition of the syllables of the name, Nam Prabhu accepts this as dedicated service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said chant continuously, but Vaishnavas have established that if one will chant 64 rounds, it's considered to be continuous chanting. Because even though it only takes about 5-6 hours, but the effect of it is so powerful that after that, you cannot forget the name for the rest of the day. And the name will always be playing in your mind, or on your tongue even. So, in that, those quiet moments, when you are the chanting and alone, then you will have very intimate and personal realization of Krishna, for sure. And when you go into and you sing and do kirtan, then another type of rasa you will experience, and that has more power and makes the vishesh chamatkar, a very intense astonishment. So both are necessary. Sometimes when you're chanting japa, the ecstasy will come so much that you'll start to sing anyway. You'll start to sing anyway. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended, if you want to advance very rapidly, to chant 64 rounds by yourself every day. And every evening come together with your family, with your spiritual family, and chant and sing. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's recommendation. He is the Supreme Lord, so he knows how best we can make progress.
I had another question. I didn't ask you, but now that we're in the middle of the topic, you're holding your hand like that, or
Oh, like that. Move up one knuckle.
Okay.
Yes, to here. Yes.
What is it? What does
It's
it mean?
Ganan Mudra.
Ganan?
Mudra. This mudra indicates that you are counting how many names you are chanting. Also, when you do, if you have the Diksha initiation, with the right hand, you start here in the same position. And there's a method of counting in a clockwise direction. Going around like this. So, but this mudra is hidden under your cloth when you do Gayatri. And this hand is kept like this. It indicates, Ganan mudra indicates that you are counting. So if you're chanting japa, then with this hand you're counting the japa. And with this hand, it just indicates that you are counting. But also, the mudra is there only to control the posture. Because the left hand is crazy. And while you're chanting, the left hand will go like this. So, sit. Don't move, stay there. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Some benefit in the Dhyan mudra. We can see the mind is closing towards the center and you can focus more. I don't really feel any benefit by this.
We don't, all these Dhyan mudras and so on, we don't believe in any of these things.
This is not anukul for Dharmanuga.
Yes, it's all material. Only this, we take one posture. You see, what happens is when you do Gayatri Mantra, then you do this mudra. And so it makes a sanskar that when you assume that posture, you're going into dhyan. Like this. So that if you sit like this and chant your Harinam, then that impression comes that you're going very deeply. Because sometimes a devotee, they try very hard to concentrate when they remember their Diksha mantras. But then they become slack when they chant Harinam. But actually one should not be like this. The complete effort to be internally absorbed that is done at the time of remembering the Gayatri Mantra, when you chant Harinam, it should be exactly the same. In fact, with the relationship which is indicated by the Gayatri Mantras, with that relationship one should chant Japa. And so Japa is also Sankirtan in the sense, not some in the sense of Bahu Be Militwa, many people gathering together, is Sankirtan. But Japa alone can also be Sankirtan, where Sam means Kirtan with the Sambandha Gyan, which is indicated by your Diksha mantras, Gopal mantra. And so you see, I am like this when I chant Japa. Because also the impression, because I have chanted Japa with my Gurudev. So when I am chanting, then I say, oh, my Gurudev is there and chanting, I am chanting with you. Doing the same. Like this. How he's absorbed, how he's sitting like a statue without any movement, and completely surrendering his heart to the divine name. So Mahajano Yena Gata Sapanta. If we, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, one way to overcome inattentiveness is, if you have the opportunity, chant Harinam for about 1 hour every day in the company of a pure devotee. Because by doing this, you will see them, and the impression will come of the intensity of their Nam Bhajan. If you have no example in your life, or the only example is people walking here and there, chanting and talking, then you'll do the same thing. But if in your life you have the experience, and the impression comes of chanting with a pure devotee, who's not committing any namaparad, their intensity and surrender, it makes a deep impression, and your inattentiveness will also go away. Okay? So, now we have to continue from yesterday, so Harikatha. by the causeless mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga, we are hearing about the gradual development of the maturity, the ripening of Unnata Ujjvala Rasa, the love of Braj Gopis. And the first stage is a purva raga, the attachment they have for Krishna, that they feel for Krishna, which is newly awakening in their hearts, even when they're in a stage where they're too shy to even go and talk to him. So that is called the Taruna vasta. Yesterday we heard how gopis were going individually, without each other's knowledge, to the forest and praying to different devatas, please help me. They're unmarried gopis and they want that Krishna should be their husband. They've come in such a state. After seeing Krishna dance on the head of Kaliya, they lost their touch with reality. They were in a state of bewilderment. And Krishna, out of compassion, every day he began to play his flute within earshot of the gopis, to try to bring them back to some semblance of normalcy. So one day, when each gopi, unbeknownst to the others, went to the forest, they all came to the same place and they met each other and they shared their feelings with each other and they were weeping. And Brinda Devi, who all this time had been watching them, could no longer check herself. So the goddess of the forest of Vrindavan appeared before them and said, I will give you Siddha Vidya. I will give you a mantra and teach you how to become perfect in that mantra by doing some archan and chanting the mantra and meditating. So then those gopis, they became so ecstatic. And they received the mantra from Brinda Devi, and then Brinda Devi disappeared. So on the Pratipada of the month of Margashirsha after Kartik, early in the morning, when the first tinge of pink was appearing in the sky, they called on each other's houses, and then together, holding hands and singing, they made their way through the forest to a secluded place on the bank of Jamuna called, now known as Chirghat. There's one Chirghat in present-day Vrindavan, in between Kalirad and Keshighat, and another Chirghat north of Vrindavan, not so far away from Ramghat, just further down the Jamuna from Ramghat. So they went to that secluded place, far away from the village. And on the way, they were laughing and joking, and by joking with each other, they were revealing their own internal desire. Oh Saki, how wonderful it will be when your parents, they fix the date of your marriage. And on that day, Krishna will be decorated so beautifully. And he'll get onto a bullock cart decorated with jewels. And everyone will be showering flowers on him. And with musical instruments, the procession will come and arrive outside your house. And you will be sitting inside your house with your family members. And when you hear the procession coming, your heart will be completely shattered to pieces in ecstasy and you will faint on your wedding day. And when Krishna comes to the door of your house, his divine fragrance will enter into your nostrils and you'll somehow come back into sense. And the ladies of your family will abuse him with very funny songs, full of insults. And your family will do puja of him and puja of Nanda Maharaj. And he'll sit down in the wedding mandap. And then your father will bring you and sit you down facing Krishna. And your whole body will become slack in ecstasy. And then, the priest will put a achaman water in Krishna's hand, which has been purified by mantras. And your father will take your hand and put your hand in Krishna's hand. And everyone will sing very beautiful songs of the wedding. And in this way, they're already tasting as if it's already happening through their songs. And joyfully they arrived on the bank of the Jamuna. So when they got there, they were thinking, so should we do this puja individually? Or should we do it all together? So they decided, no, it's more auspicious if people do puja together. So they made one deity of Katyani Devi from sand. One, and they all surrounded that deity. Yeah. Actually, first when they arrived, they quickly took off their cloth and jumped in the cold water and jumped out again. Because they hadn't taken bath yet. And then the cloth that they'd taken off, because it was silk, they put the same cloth back on, because silk is not never contaminated. So remembering this vidhi, they put their silk cloth back on, and then they made the deity from sand, of Katyani Devi. And then they began to pray, Agatscha. Because the deity is not Katyani Devi. You have to invite the deity to enter, the goddess to enter into the deity of sand. So they invited and prayed for her to come. And then they began her puja. Idamasanam, please accept this seat. Esa Pushpanjali, they offered flowers, they offered argya, they offered madhuparka, they offered incense. And with each article they had a meditation. When they offered madhuparka, they thought, oh Katyani Devi, we are offering you honey. Please give us the taste of the honey of Krishna's Prem. When they offered incense, then they thought, oh Katyani Devi, we are offering you this fragrant incense. Please offer the fragrance of Krishna's body to our nostrils. When they offered white kunda flowers, they thought, oh Katyani Devi, we are worshipping you with these white kunda flowers. By your blessing, may Krishna worship our lips with his kunda flower-like teeth. When they worshipped her with fragrant oil, oh, they thought, oh, may our bodies be worshipped by the touch of Krishna's fragrant vigraha. In this way, each article, they were just absorbed in the greed of serving Krishna in the romantic mood. This is seva. This is the meaning of seva kunj. So, they offered a bhog, some preparations to Katyani Devi. And then when the puja was over, they prayed and they sent the deity away. So each day they were doing this. But every day they did it, they increased the number of articles. More flowers, more different types of incense, more different types of bhoga offerings, food preparations. So every day they became more enthusiastic about this worship of Katyani. And
they made every day Katyani new.
Yes, yes. This is the method of worshipping with the deity of sand. You just invite, do the puja, and then send away, and again each day. Like if you do a fire yagya, also you cannot do the fire yagya, then go away, and then come back, and then light it again, and the deity. No, you have to. It's an offense actually. So they were eating only once a day, and that was only havisyana. Means some rice and dal cooked together without any spices at all. And so because of this, they gradually became emaciated. They became very thin. They did not chew tambul, and their lips became pale. They did not accept any oil because in India everyone has an oil massage every day. They did not put oil on their skin for a whole month. So their skin was losing its luster. They did not put oil in their hair, so their hair was becoming dry and brittle. And their parents, seeing their daughters in this condition, looking thin, lackluster, dry hair, the parents, their hearts were melting and saying, "Oh, my dear daughter, why are you doing such austerities? This is not appropriate for a young girl." And they thought, oh, they must be worshipping any demigod to get wealth and success. They did not know what was their motivation, to get Krishna as their husband. So every day they were doing the puja. And gradually they came to the end of the month. And on the last day, you have to celebrate that you have completed the brat. That is called Abhabritasnan, the celebratory bathing at the end of a brat. So on that last day, those gopis who are unmarried, they invited the gopis whose marriages had been arranged. Radha, Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka, and all of their group. So, these Sadhana Siddha gopis now had the association of Nitya Siddha gopis. And in their final bathing, they took off all their clothes, kept it on the bank of the Jamuna, and they jumped in the water, and now their brat was finished. And because when a brat is finished, then you internally have some indication from the devata you are worshipping in regard to your sankalpa. When you do a brat, at the beginning you have to make a sankalpa, a promise. I am doing this brat for a particular purpose. So when they finished their brat, then they felt Katyani Devi appear in their hearts and raise their hand in a blessing. So they just felt such confidence that, oh, the fruit of our brat must come. So they went in the water and they were naked and they were just laughing and splashing and playing with each other. Because they knew this place was very far away from the village and no one could see them. That was the idea. However, from the beginning, Krishna knew why they were doing this brat. So, Krishna set off from Nandagaon, going through the forest, but not alone. He brought with him 4 friends. Who are those friends? They're very young, between age 4 and 5. Their names are Dham, Sudam, Vasudam and Kinkini. So little boys, only 4 years old. So those who know the Tantra Shastras well, a secret has been written in the Tantra Shastras that Dham, Sudam, Vasudam and Kinkini are the external manifestation of Krishna's heart. That means Kinkini is the outer manifestation of Krishna's manas, mind. Dham is the outer manifestation of Krishna's buddhi. Sudam is the outer manifestation of his ahankar. And Vasudam is his chitta. So the 4 aspects of the subtle body of Krishna are manifested as these 4 little boys who are always laughing and joking and very full of fun. So Krishna, he told these 4 boys, come with me. But he didn't tell them where he was going or why they should come with him. And Krishna was thinking, I'll go there where they're bathing. And from a hidden place I'll be able to watch them with rapt attention. So they set out. So Krishna, he showers his love upon these boys every day. And this day, they were going through the forest with him. And Krishna was going quickly and they were running to keep up with him. And they were saying, "Oh, Bhaiya, Bhaiya, where are we going? Where are we going?" But Krishna wasn't saying anything. So the boys were always laughing and joking. And as they got closer to the bank of the Yamuna, Krishna said, "Shh, be quiet." So then Krishna kept his head down and he came out from the trees on the bank of Jamuna, and silently and stealthily he collected all the clothes of the gopis. And then he climbed up one kadamba trees are very big and they have so much green foliage. And he climbed up inside the kadamba tree. From the outside no one could see Krishna and no one could see the clothes also. And the boys, the 4 little boys, they climbed up another tree that was nearby. So, once they were in the tree, Krishna was watching the gopis, playing in the water, and he could not contain his laughter. So Krishna began to laugh, and the 4 little boys also began to laugh. So at that time, because they were all gopis were playing naked in the water, now they could hear not one person, many people laughing. They became struck with fear. And they were, whatever they're doing, they stopped and they looked around. And they looked and saw, all of our clothes have gone. And understanding that several people were there, not only Krishna, then they dropped down into the water up to their necks. And they sank in the water. All you could see were the beautiful lotus faces, like lotus flowers in the water. Many, many gopis. And they were looking down. Their eyes were looking down at the water. They were ashamed to look up and just imagine who was there. So, they were there, and the water was cold because it's the winter season. So then they gradually looked up. So at that time, Krishna was hiding in the dense branches of the kadamba tree, so they couldn't even see him. But then Krishna, he climbed along one branch and he peeped out. And Krishna, he looked at the beautiful lotus faces of the gopis. His eyes were like a bumblebee. Becomes ecstatic seeing the lotus flowers. And the gopis in the water, they were looking up at the cloud-like face of Krishna like chataki birds. Chatak. Female chatak is a chataki. And they were looking up at Krishna. So this is an astonishing moment. Why? Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Samrita Sindhu Nujjvala Nilamani, he describes so many nuances of the gopis' feelings. And someone might say, he's just made all this up, where is it in Shastra? So Srila Jiva Goswami in Priti Sandarbha has shown where all of the different ideas expressed by Rupa Goswami about the gopis' emotions, where you can find them in Srimad Bhagavatam. So one of the Bhavalankars, or the ecstatic emotional ornaments described by Rupa Goswami is called Kila Kinchit Bhav. Garava Abhilasa Rudito Smita Suya Bhayakrudam Sankari Karnam Harsham Uchite Kila Kinchitam. This is the paribhasha, the definition. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discussed this with Swarup Damodar Goswami, Swarup Damodar Goswami gave the example of Radharani was picking flowers, and Krishna came and tried to arrest her. Oh, what, you are stealing flowers. Don't you know this forest belongs to Kamdev, and you are stealing his flowers. So I am his representative. I am going to arrest you for your criminal acts and take you into a cave and punish you. on behalf of Cupid.
Und ich will dich jetzt im Namen des
So when
Liebesgottes
Krishna approached
bestrafen.
Radharani and touched her by
Als
force,
Krishna sie dann
then
berührt hat mit
Radharani, she
Gewalt,
shriveled away from him,
sie ist
like this.
weggegangen
She
von ihm.
shrunk away from him. And she was feeling harsha, great jubilation.
Große Jubilation, Glückseligkeit
She felt
fühlte sie.
proud. There was a pride
Da war ein
that,
Stolz
oh, there are
in
many
ihr.
gopis here, but
Obwohl so viele Gopis
he's
hier sind,
come to me.
kommen zu mir.
She became filled with abhilas. Some ambitions, great desires were raised in her heart.
In ihrem Herzen.
Garva abhilasa, rudita. Tears were streaming from her eyes.
Tränen kommen aus ihren
Smita,
Augen,
but her mouth was smiling.
aber ihr Gesicht lächelt.
She manifests asuya, hostility towards Krishna.
Asuya, ein bisschen
But internally she is
Bösheit
very
zu
happy.
Krishna, aber innerlich ist sie ganz glücklich.
She has a fear
Sie hat Angst.
that someone might see what is happening.
Jemand mag es sehen, was geschieht.
And she's also angry with him.
Und sie ist ein bisschen zornig mit
So
ihm.
all these emotions, they
All
come
diese
at the same
Emotionen
time.
Zur gleichen Zeit.
And Swarup Damodar Goswami explained this during Hare Panchami festival to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Krishna sees Radharani's face light up with Kila Kichit Bhav,
Radharani's Gesicht
he
mit
becomes
Kinship
so
sieht,
satisfied,
wird
so ecstatic,
so ekstatisch,
more than any other types of pastimes, Sambhog Maya Lila.
als wenn direkt mit Radharani zusammen wäre.
So, one might say,
Man mag
where
sagen,
is Rupa Goswami taking this from? Yeah? Jiva Goswami said, oh, it is in Srimad Bhagavatam.
aber wir sind schon noch Bhagavatam.
Where is Kila Kichit Bhav in Srimad Bhagavatam? This moment,
In dem Moment,
when Krishna looked at gopis and all gopis hid in the water,
und die Gopis sind im Wasser,
it was not one gopi had Kila Kinchit Bhav, all the gopis had Kila Kinchit Bhav. They're all shrinking away from Krishna
gehen weg von Krishna, ein bisschen weg,
with fear,
und ein bisschen Angst,
with anger,
Zorn,
with tears in their eyes,
Tränen in den
and at the
Augen,
same time
und zur
smiling,
gleichen Zeit
becoming
lachend,
proud that Krishna has come to them,
stolz, dass Krishna
filled
zu
with
ihnen
so
kommt,
many desires and jubilation.
und jubilieren.
So Krishna was drinking, you imagine Krishna becomes so ecstatic seeing one gopi's Kila Kinchit Bhav. All gopis had Kila Kinchit Bhav at the same time.
Aber es haben Tausende von Gopis
So Krishna's eyes became like a bumblebee,
Krishna ist wie eine Biene. Das ist in seinen
seeing the
Augen.
beauty of gopis at that moment.
Sieht die Schönheit der Gopis in dem Moment.
So, at that moment,
In dem Moment.
the 4 boys who were in the tree,
Die 4 Knaben.
they were laughing loudly,
Sie lachten laut.
and the gopis became angry with them.
Und die Gopis waren zornig mit ihnen.
So, they thought, I don't know what we can do with Krishna, but these boys, we can control them.
Und genau, wir wissen nicht, was wir mit Krishna machen können.
We can, if we threaten these boys, we can make them come down and give our clothes. Krishna, he may not give, but the boys
Krishna gibt's vielleicht
may
nicht
give our clothes back.
aber die Kind, diese kleinen Knaben,
So they said,
die
hey,
Feinde zurück.
you know, this duty of yours that you have performed
Kind,
will be a
das ist
matter of great honor in Braj when we go back and we tell your mother and father and parents
euren Eltern
what you've been
alles
doing.
erzählen.
They say it will be a matter of great honor in Braj. They're not saying we'll tell your parents,
Wir werden es nicht
but it
sagen,
means
dass
that,
wir euren
okay,
Eltern
now
sagen.
you're laughing,
Jetzt lacht ihr noch, ja,
but you'll be
fein.
when we tell about you
Aber wenn ihr
in the
euch
village,
erzählen,
then you'll be punished.
dann werdet ihr bestraft werden.
So then, these little boys have been very well trained by Krishna.
Knaben und gut aufgenommen von Krishna.
They said very politely,
Sie haben
they're
ganz
only
lieb
4 years
gesagt.
old.
sind erst 4 Jahre alt.
We don't have the slightest idea
Wir haben nicht
whether
die
the
kleinste
duties
Idee,
that we have performed is worthy or not.
ob das, was wir gemacht haben,
But we have come here just to accept shiksha from you.
aber wir möchten nur Unterweisung von
And
euch,
simply by seeing you,
nur euch zu sehen.
we've understood so much shiksha.
Haben wir so viel Unterweisung schon bekommen. Nur euch zu sehen.
Then they became really shy.
Dann waren die Gopis wirklich schön.
And they said, oh, you have learned very well from your teacher.
Und ihr habt gut von eurem Lehrer gelernt.
And now, just to expand the reputation of your guru,
Und nur,
you're practicing his teaching all over Braj.
jetzt, weil euer Guru ist Krishna, aber weil ihr nicht sonst
So then those
praktiziert
boys,
habt,
they
wie
said,
Krishna ist, werdet
"Oh,
ihr
Balika."
wie Krishna.
Oh, young girls,
Oh junge Mädchen,
why are you making allegations against us?
warum macht ihr
We don't know what
Anschläge
you're
gegen uns?
talking about.
Wir wissen nicht, von was ihr sprecht.
We came here onto the bank of the
Wir
Jamuna
sind hier ans Ufer der Yamuna gekommen.
and we saw so many crocodiles in the water, we climbed up this tree.
Wir haben so viele Krokodile im Wasser gesehen, sind wir aus Angst hier hochgeklaufen.
In Sanskrit, the word for crocodile is
Das Krokodil,
the Jalachari.
Chalachari.
So they said, we thought that you were Jalachara, you were living in the water. So you must be crocodiles. We were afraid and we climbed the tree. I don't know why you were blaming us. So then the gopis said, it's the nature, it's the dharma of thieves, that they want to make a show of their skill. And therefore you have climbed to the top of this tree. And it's natural for the victims of thieves to become very ashamed, to feel wretched. And that's why we have sunk down into this water. So then, Krishna, he spoke as if he were angry with the gopis. Krishna said, what have we stolen from you? The gopi said, alas, alas, we are so many. And therefore it's very difficult to hide our uncountable garments. But still, how have you hidden our garments? Because he's climbed the tree and they can't see where they don't know where their garments are. They said, how have you hidden our ambara? Ambara means garments, like nilambara, pitambara. You've hidden our garments. Krishna said, why you say I've stolen ambara? You are still dressed in ambara. And another meaning of ambar is the sky. You know, one name of Lord Shiva is Digambara. He walks around naked. So dig means the direction. One who's only clothed in the directions is called Digambar. So Gopi said, you have stolen our ambara. Krishna said, what? You are still dressed in ambara? And how can you accuse me of being guilty of stealing ambar, means space? How can you steal space? So in this way Krishna began his Bhagvilas, the pastimes of joking words with gopis. Gopi said, hey Damodar, you are capable of turning ambar into ambar. That means turning clothes into space. Somehow you made our clothes disappear. But how much can you show your heroism by stealing in a solitary place? Yeah. If you steal in a place where there's no one to see it, that doesn't mean you're a great thief. A great thief steals in front of everyone. So what is the use of your stealing here? There's no one here. So then Krishna became very serious. And in a serious voice, he said to the boys, these kanya, these girls in the water, they are not naked. I was just joking with them. You see, these girls are very wicked. I go here and there all over Braja, playing with my sakas. And in the ecstasy of my play, sometimes my pitambar falls off and I forget about it. And they come and they steal my pitambars. And they collect them all. Because they are from very poor families. And even though these clothes are only suitable for me, they have all come together and they're all dressed in my pitambar, my golden garments. Because the water of Jamuna is very pure and clear, and I can clearly see that they're all dressed in gold. Because I don't think they're hiding in the water. But Jamuna water is very clear here. I can see they are all dressed in gold, and in this way he's joking with the boys. So Krishna said, so you are all fully dressed in my golden cloth. So you should all rise up out and playfully skipping, come out of the water hand in hand and come to me. So hearing these words of Krishna, hearing him saying, come to me, they made their way slowly towards the bank of the river. But then they were in anxiety. They couldn't bring themselves to come out of the water. So the gopis, they looked up the tree where the little boys were and said, hey Balaka, oh boys, why are you standing there like statues? Don't be afraid, speak to us. And then the gopis spoke to each other in such a way that the little boys will overhear. Oh, Arisaki, bring those thieves here and we'll make them realize the happiness of living in this freezing cold water. So they tried to scare the boys into thinking they're going to grab them and sink them down in the cold water. Then one gopi said to the boys, look, we know the guru from whom you have received this education in stealing. He's always telling you, steal these sweets, steal this makan. Krishna is always thinking, steal these clothes, steal these girls. This is only thievery is on his mind all the time. But you boys should understand that we have been doing a vrat for 1 month to worship Katyani Devi. So we've now, by her blessing, we have very strong powers. And together, we can drag your guru into the water. What to speak of you? To drag little boys like you into this cold water would be very easy for us. So why don't you just come down and return our clothes? So then the little boys, they started to climb down the tree. And the gopis looked at each other, haha, we've outsmarted Krishna now. Because his shishtas have the chain sides. So then the boys, they climbed down from the tree. And when they got down to the tree, they quickly ran to the kadamba tree where Krishna was and climbed up there into Krishna's tree. This is Guru Nishta. So then Krishna began to laugh. Oh, your plan failed. So then Krishna began to laugh. He said, oh, how amazing it is that you all behave like pious women. But you have such a big false ego. Why are you so stubborn? Just come out of the water. Alright. If you won't come out of the water, as long as you have taken a vow to live in the water, I take a vow to live in the sky. Yeah, that means in the tree. If you can take a vow to live in the water, I'll take a vow to live in the sky. That's my sankalpa. And in this way, Krishna showed, if you can be stubborn, I can be more stubborn than you. But it's much more comfortable to sit in a kadamba tree than to be up to your neck in cold water in the winter time. So then it was a stalemate. Krishna will not budge, gopis will not budge. So what happened next, we'll explain tomorrow. Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala, Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala, Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala. Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala. Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Tilila Prishtam Vishnupada Ishtora Sachi Shrimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Thakur Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Mahabhagavad Pravashi Gopsudas Bhagwan Maharaj ki jai. Saptam Goswami Sachidananda Thakur Bhakti Nod ki jai. Sri Rupanuga Gauri Guru Bhava ki jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatana Bhattu Gunath Shri Gopala Bhattara Sarvna Sadhu Swami Bhu ki jai. Prem se go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Ishwar Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Madhavendra Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Gopinath Madan Manju ki jai. Shri Bhuvna Mangalkari Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Madhi Sri Rasa Sri Vishabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radharani ki jai. Jai Gaura Premanandi. Om Vindai Tulasi Devyai Vyai Kesavasya Krishna Bhakti Paridevi Satyavatyai Namo Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
Pujapa Shri Prem Prayojan Maharaj ki
Jai. Shri Gurudev
Jai.
Drink.
Pipata Bhagavatam Rasmala